Having a guitar company, inadvertently, I'm sure you come across some pretty unique situations, some pretty cool moments that you wouldn't ordinarily experience, right? Can you tell me about some of the coolest things you've ever experienced as the owner of this company?
Sure. Just real quick before, I know a lot of people are going to be thinking, what famous people have you worked with? And that is fun and amazing, no argument. But let me just quickly pivot to a couple things that came back. Funny enough, it was about the Inferno. When we'd started the company, someone reached out to us who had purchased and really loved their Inferno. Turns out they were an employee of NASA and had said to us, I did sonic testing on the Inferno. I brought in a Les Paul and a Strat. I think he said, he wanted a couple of the industry standards to put up against the Inferno. And he says, look, this isn't anything I can publish or quantify to you because, that's, I guess, how do I put this right? It wasn't done on official company time. He said, what I can tell you is this, that sonically, the Inferno guitar is so far above the Strat and the Les Paul sonically on every level, on every measurement that he could do. It's breathtaking. You're making guitars, you're helping artists reach their goals, you're doing the best thing that you can do. In a million years, I never would have expected somebody being, work for NASA. We sonically tested your design and it's a mind blower. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Shortly thereafter, another person who's really, really big on tone, the president of Tone Pros, the bridge and tailpiece, he took the Inferno into his sound lab to do testing. And him and some of the people that work in the lab, and I'm just giving you what he told me at one of the trade shows. He goes, we brought it in there, and we brought in like 3 or 4 big-bodied guitars to like compete it against. And they were betting that, it was just because the Inferno is a bigger guitar. That's why it sounds so good. He said they put it through all their paces, and he said it is absolutely 100% not the fact it's a big guitar. He said the Inferno dusted these other guitars right out of there, and they said it's really about that design. Those flame tongues, the body shape, all the sound chamber engineering, everything that's unique to an Inferno. So coming from him, that was really powerful. This is not somebody who has nothing better to do than pay me a compliment. After that, another Inferno moment, and it really grabbed me. I had an opportunity to be invited into a major label recording for a very big band at the peak of their greatness, Coheed and Cambria. A lot of people know who that band is, and they were recording their album, and I was bringing some guitars over for them to track with, to try out newer stuff and kind of see what was going on. I was very grateful to be heading over, and their engineer who was there, I introduced myself and I set the guitars down, and the engineer was Joe Barisi, and he looked at the headstock of the guitar and saw the MInarik M logo. And he looks at me, and he looks at the guitar. He goes, "You do this? This is you, this guitar?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I go, "Yeah, Marc Minarik. Yeah, I mean, yes, it's all my." I made a joke, so I'm like, "Yeah, it's all my fault." He goes, "Hold on a minute." I mean, he puts the whole recording thing on hold. I'm like, "Oh boy, what's going on?" He goes in the back room and comes out with a case, and he undoes the case and throws it open, and there's a Sunburst Inferno. He goes, "Let me tell you something, Mark." He gets real matter of fact. He goes, "This guitar is on more major label recordings than you can possibly imagine." So I'm gobsmacked. I'm just like staring like, what? He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "This is my secret weapon. Every time somebody comes in, they have their endorsements, they've got their, this is my favorite, all that. almost every time they're running through a track or a song where their instrument they brought can't get the tone that's needed for that major label recording sound. I bring it out and they look at it, and of course the look of it kind of stuns them a little bit, and I just say, just try it. And I put it in their lap, and the first thing they get is, wow, this is really comfortable. And the next thing they realize is they just got the track they needed. And he goes, it's happened over and over and over. And he goes, Mark, it's everything from punk to jazz to rock to top 40. He goes, it's everything. That was so powerful to hear that from Joe. And this is, he has access to everything. I mean, everything. Anything he would want in the world to have as his, go-to stuff when he's helping bands get a tone or a sound, he could have it. He had a MInarik Inferno. And of course, I'd love to take a moment to say, Joe, thank you. You did not have to share any of that with me, and I am still grateful for that. What a moment, and look forward to having lunch with you sometime. I haven't seen you since that epic moment for me. So thanks again, Joe. I appreciate you sharing that. As far as artists, there have been a lot. One of the most profound has been Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead. Lemmy went out of his way since the minute he discovered our company to advertise, promote, play, and encourage others to play MInarik guitars and basses. I could go on about how grateful I am for everything that Lemmy did while he was alive and even after he's passed on, to help MInarik Guitars. And he didn't do it because he had nothing better to do. He was working with me on design, signature models, things like that, right up till the time he passed. He was definitely on board and always made time for me, whether it was just to have something to drink, inviting me backstage at, concerts, you name it, and he would make time for me. So, thank you, Lemmy. Appreciate you looking out.
Of all the artists out there today, who are some of the artists that you would love to see playing a MInarik?
I would love to see Taylor Swift playing a MInarik. Now, that's going to surprise a few people, but I have an idea and a design that I think would be fabulous. Just would floor everybody if that team got together. So I'm definitely putting it out there to her and her management. I've got an idea for you that I think would be powerful. The other one is on the country realm, would be Brad Paisley. And I know there's a guitar that is associated with Brad, but I would love to be able to show him my idea. I think it would be something he might consider working into the mix. I just, for whatever reason, every time I see him and hear him, I just keep thinking I've got something sonically and visually that would be powerful, real powerful. And I'm absolutely open to making that meeting happen. I'm putting it out here for Brad if he'd like to take a listen to a few things. I could find my way over to Nashville, I'm sure, on the next flight. Those would be two artists maybe people wouldn't expect to think about MInarik in those terms, but I think it would be earth-shattering, ground-shaking if these two forces got together. So those would be, right now, those are my top two.
And then last question, Mark. How can people find out more information about MInarik Guitars? Where do they go?
We've got MInarikGuitars.com. That's always a great option, the website. But we have a huge artist community on Facebook. It's the MInarik Guitars Facebook page. You can look it up there. Huge community, huge. Lots of input, lots of different opinions, different genres of music, all over the globe. I mean, there's people all over the world on that site. If you're considering a MInarik, already have a MInarik, or want to see what other MInariks were made, some of the more ornate, wild customs to people that just really love the basic MInarik and gig it out all the time, everything is there. We're on that, monitoring that constantly. You're going to get quick responses, and I do monitor that page as well. If somebody needs to have a question or get a hold of me through that, great avenue to do that, absolutely. And if we're going to drop hints and we're going to make some public releases and announcements, we give everybody on the page the heads up first before the rest of the world. And one other thing I'd like to mention, which I just meant a lot to me, there's an administrator that started a site called We Love MInarik Guitars, completely unsolicited. That is a fantastic hub of people that really enjoy, what was made first, what started this idea, really getting into what created everything about MInarik. Fantastic moderator for that site, and just a lot of love for what we're doing here at MInarik. So I'd love to give a shout out to the moderator for We Love MInarik Guitars Facebook page. Thank you. That made my decade. To see something, an unsolicited expression of love and appreciation like that. Thank you very, very much, very much.
Awesome, Mark. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time to talk to me today and for having me into your home. I really appreciate it. Just awesome being here and getting this information, and I'm sure everyone else out there has definitely been educated as well. So again, this is Marc Minarik, owner and creator of MInarik Guitars, and I'm Johnny Farrow, and we'll see you next time.